Today, we're diving into a really unique teaching method that takes a skill you probably learned in middle school, summarizing a story, and turns it into a powerful tool for finding peace and clarity in your own life. It's a fascinating connection, so let's get right into it.
I know, it sounds a little out there, right? But the core idea we're looking at is that learning to boil a story down to its essentials isn't just an academic exercise. It's actually training for how we make sense of our own experiences.
So how does it work? Well, the whole process starts with a tool called the Summary Builder. And you can think of it as a blueprint for breaking down any story. And not just a story in a book, but maybe a difficult conversation you had or a stressful situation at work.
It all begins with these 4 really simple questions that are designed to cut through all the noise and emotion. What actually happened? Who were the key players? What was the whole thing really about? And out of everything, what are the details that are absolutely essential to the story? The whole point is to just get the objective facts down first.
Okay, but here's where this whole lesson takes a really interesting turn. Because it's not just about listing facts. The next step is this crucial leap from just having information to actually finding real meaning in it. And this slide really shows you that leap. On one hand, you've got the basic 2-sentence summary, just the facts, ma'am, but then you have what's called the synthesis statement. And this is where you're challenged to dig deeper and pull out a life lesson. You're shifting from asking what happened to asking, so what does this mean? But believe it or not, it goes even one step further than that. The ultimate goal is to connect that personal insight you just found to a much broader guiding principle, what this curriculum calls the big picture. So as an example of a big picture truth, the curriculum offers this verse from Ecclesiastes. The idea here is to teach students to anchor their own personal takeaways in a larger foundational framework for how to live. It's about connecting the dots from a small story to a huge idea. So, once you've found the meaning, the next thing this lesson focuses on is how you express it. And there's this huge emphasis on being concise, on understanding that there's real wisdom in brevity. This quote from the lesson just captures that idea so perfectly. It's this beautiful reminder that our words have incredible weight. The goal isn't just to talk more, it's to communicate with purpose, to use fewer words to say something that truly matters. And here's another great example they use. The book of James gets a shout out because it's famous for its super condensed wisdom. You know, a line like, "Faith without works is dead." That's incredibly short, but it contains a massive theological concept. That's the kind of powerful summary this curriculum is pushing students toward. And this all brings us to a really key definition in this whole philosophy. The lesson explicitly connects this skill of being concise to what it calls spiritual maturity. So in this view, being mature isn't about how much you know. It's about your ability to distill what you know into wise, purposeful, and often very brief communication.
So, all of this begs a pretty big question. Why on earth would you teach English class this way? Well, it all goes back to the core philosophy that is driving this entire educational model.
This question from the source material just cuts right to the heart of their entire mission. It's so powerful. It basically asks, if all our education doesn't lead to us making better choices and causing less pain for ourselves and others, then what's it really for? And here is the answer that this educational philosophy provides. It really stands on 3 main pillars. First, the idea that biblical morality should be woven into every single subject. Second, the belief that any education that lacks that moral compass will eventually be harmful. And third, that a mind focused on spiritual things is what leads to a peaceful mind. And they point to the book of Romans for that. So this is the reason why a simple English class exercise is transformed into a profound tool for spiritual development. So to wrap up, the final question really brings it back to us. How can we actually use this in our own lives? Think about it. What's one area right now where you tend to react or judge too quickly? Where could you benefit from just hitting pause, finding the simple, objective facts, and only then searching for the deeper meaning? It's a really powerful idea to end with.